Hi, welcome back. So as you can see, I've reset this guy to a default grey. He still has his shader on him, so this blend material, and he still has the ambient occlusion. So for now, let's just crank the ambient occlusion back to 1. And that will give us that. So at the moment this is just solid grey. If we flat shade, you'll see here that there's nothing painted on this at all, and to get him back to a solid grey I of course just selected all the UV patches with S and then went up to patches, fill and grey. So now we can really start to work on this little guy, and the first thing I want to do is give him a base layer of skin. Now Mari uses a layers system much like Photoshop, so if you click layers you see here we've got a base layer, which I'm going to turn this to base skin. We'll end up with probably quite a few layers in Mari, so it's better to be organized from the start. And on this layer is going to go the base skin texture we painted. So we'll use the paint through. So let's go to the paint through tool. Let's go to the UV and let's just select the skin. So S, select this patch, and then we can go up to the ortho and just there we go, visibility, and let's see, hide unselected. Now this way I'm not going to be painting over the nails, over the eyes and whatnot when I do this. So let's go to our image manager, and there's the two textures we loaded in. So I'm just going to drag this one front and center, then I'm going to rescale it, probably so it's about that big. I want fairly small sort of patches. Now one thing I can do, because what's going to happen is I'm going to move this image about, and obviously if I paint the scales this size, so let's bake those out, and then move this little guy around and then paint some extra scales, I'm going to end up with lots of different sizes. So we need to lock this image to a certain scale, and for me that scale is, let me just paint some thing here. Okay, that looks like these would be big enough. Or the right size in our case. That's kind of the size that I want my lizard skin scales. So I'm going to lock this image size up here. Now if you look up through here you can see the paint through tool, the mode is normal, and if we drop out this little box here you'll see I've got a scale lock. So I'm going to go scale lock and pan lock, and this way when I scale out the image will also scale with me. So it keeps that in proportion, so I'll get the same size scale. Now let's go down and check projection and make sure we're only projecting on the front. We don't want to project all the way through, we just want one side at once. Let's make sure we don't have any image masks enabled by turning on the mask preview. Okay, nothing went red, so this is going to cause us some problems. So let's do some painting, let's bake, and let's look round, and you see we've got this horrendous stretching. This we don't want, and this because we have no edge masking. So let's just press P to go to the paintbrush just to get rid of that image. Let's get our little dude about where we want him, and let's do some edge masking. So let's turn edge masking on and edge masking preview, and that's probably maybe a little bit harsh. So we'll come down to here and we'll see what we get with this. We'll go back to the paint through tool, and now I'm going to start painting in here. And then I'll just move this down here. Okay, I've actually got the let's see, yeah, we don't want the pan lock, we just want the scale lock. We still want to be able to move the image. There we go. Let's paint some more in here. Okay, and let's get a bit of a blending, so there, and then just bring it out to the back. And of course I need to bake this down when I'm finished. Excuse me, let me just paint out. B to bake, and let's paint out some more. Let's get some of the tail here, and B to bake, and I'm actually going to turn the mask preview off. It'll still be working, but we'll be able to see what we're doing a little easier. Let's put this at the back of the tail around here. Let's just paint that out, and we can come back and concentrate on blending these together a bit later, but for right now I'm just going to put this. So the main white highlight is on the leg there, and I'm just going to paint around like so, and B to bake. And there's kind of one side of this that has these scales on. Let's come back here on this tail and just blend that in a bit. There we go. And if I flip this round, this stretching is left over from before. So It's not really something to be too concerned about because we're going to paint over that. There we go. And I'm just pressing B every time before I move. So let's just come in and get it from this angle. B. And the reason we're doing this instead of just painting straight on the UV is this way we won't have any seams on the skin at all. So, and this is just the first pass, you know, we're just getting a rough base on here for now, and it looks like I've overshot that a little bit. There we go. And we're going to have to do front and back as well, and we're going to have to take him from the top. Let's get that. I didn't really like that, so let's clear it, Control Shift, and let's repaint that out a bit like so. There we go. Better. Okay, that looks about right. So we got the front, we got the sides, we need the back now. You can actually go to the camera and go view through camera left, camera right, top, bottom, rear and whatnot the same way in Maya, but this is just as easy. I don't need to be spot on, massively accurate with this, fortunately. Okay, so that's got the front, back, left and right. Now we need the top and the bottom. And again, we've got some blending issues here between these two pieces, so I can just come in and I might repaint that out again. There we go. That should do him. And about the front, so let's get him from the top. And this could be a bit tricky. There we go. We're going to want the top of the head there. And as I said, this is just really like a base coat for us, like an undercoat. So it's not important to be massively accurate, realistically. Let's get those underarms there. And if you want, you can turn shadowing off. So if you come up here and let's turn the lighting on to basic, and that will turn the shadows off. Or we could go flat shade completely, and then it makes it a bit easier to see what we're missing. Whoops. Let's get that so it's lined up. There you go. Bake that. And here, little hand, and let's make this a little brighter too. So there. Whoops. Just a second. I have activated the normal view. Let's just turn that off. There we go. And I've got the, sorry, not the normal view, I've got the tool set to Vector Inspector, which I really don't need, so I'm going to go back to the Paint Through tool. There we go. I'm going to have to redrop this. And there we go. Get the right tool, it does help. And underneath here I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on the chin, so let's just change the radius of this brush and just paint in here under the chin. Get that little bit under the arm. And let's see what else we're missing. We got 90% of it, just about. Let's come in, let's just do a bit of painting here. Okay. And this is, you know, when you paint anything, it takes some time. It doesn't matter if this gets a bit mixed up under here. You can always come in and do a blending later on. I'll just blend these areas in together. And let's go under here and get this arm. And you know, I'm really not liking the front of this stomach at the moment, so let's get the whitest portion of the image and radiate it outwards just a little bit. There we go. any sort of major areas I want to pay a bit more attention to. So the front of the head is looking pretty decent, and we're still missing some texture from these feet. But these feet are actually quite difficult to do on this view, so let's pump into the UV. And this would be the underneath of the feet, I think. So Control Shift, and let's see if we can resize this. Now I cannot, because it's locked to scale, so I'm going to have to unlock it. So up here, it drives me crazy, that thing. I'm going to take the scale lock off, and now I can just kind of size this down. And for this I'm just going to have to guesstimate. So let's just, hang on, I need to move this image, so that should shift, there we go. Right, so this is an area that won't be so visible, so it doesn't have to be spot on, but I'm just going to come in and paint this out here. Let's bake that out, and I'm missing a little bit. This will be the underneath of the arm probably, so let's just paint it out here and between the fingers there. Same with this one. Again, so we're doing a combination of paint on UV and also paint on mesh. Here is a little bit of touch up required. Whoops, and I've gone to the vector inspector tool again. For some bizarre reason I keep hitting that on the keyboard. My apologies, and let's just get any areas we might have missed from the main painting. Okay. Okay, so I'm not really seeing any grey on our skin now. A little bit here, which is actually not too bad. So that's going to be an area of occlusion, so I'm not too concerned about that. Now let's have a look in the ortho. Let's just make sure I've baked everything out and look in the ortho view. And flat shaded, we have now skin painted on our character. You know, there is a bit of patchiness around, but we can fix that later. And to be honest with you, once all the shadowing, blending, ambient occlusion and whatnot goes in, you're not really going to notice that so much. I mean, you can fix it if you want. For instance, we could go now and go to the UV again, and where we have the main body here, in fact let's just go to the UV view, where we have the main body, I can actually, without touching the sides, now it's important not to touch the sides or around the arms, because we don't want to undo the work that Mari's done in keeping the seams to a minimum. Okay, so I think these scales have turned out a little bit too small up here, so I'm going to just make this image bigger, Control Shift and drag the mouse just to make it a bit bigger, just to keep them in keeping, a bit more in keeping. Now if I was using a tablet right now, this would be much easier, because I'd have the pressure control to control the opacity on this, which I don't at the moment with the mouse, which is a tad annoying, but right, I can just paint that out just so the main coverage area looking a little bit better. Hit B to bake that down. Now I can also go through and feather these in a bit later, and we'll discuss various techniques for that, but right now I'm just looking for any areas that are just like nasty, and we seem to have gotten away with this fairly well. I might come in here and just put a white dot up on the top of the leg here, like so, and then I'll do that on the other leg. And this is where it's important to have done your own UVs, so you know where everything is, which helps quite a bit. And let's hit B there, and let's go back to our ortho view and have a look at what we look like. So we're looking pretty good. This flat unshaded view is never going to look very good, so let's just flick that back to here, to the full lighting mode, and we are looking pretty decent for a base coat. We've got a little issue here by the tail, so let's fix that. Now we can do that by dragging it directly onto here and just doing a little patch up, maybe a few smaller scales round the tail. So I'm going to get the smaller size brush, I'm just going to come in and paint just a little smaller around here, maybe around here. Just give it some differential, you know. And I would normally maybe paint a smaller scale set around these holes too. And again, with the tablet, this is much easier because you can just ease the pen pressure off slightly to get a better blending. But you know, it's not impossible with the mouse, just it is easier with the tablet. So I'm just coming up to where these holes are here and just giving them a little tickle round with a smaller scale. Just give us a bit of variation in there. And maybe this one too. Now, to do this without a tablet, you're going to have to change the opacity on the brush up here. So I'm going to click this out again and use a lower opacity, so maybe 0.4, and that way I can kind of blend in a little bit more. Actually, an opacity of 0.4 is no good. Let's have a look here. Let's just go back a few. Whoops, I'm going back the same way Photoshop does, which is obviously just Control Z on Mari. And let's see, paint through. Opacity, I can hold O and scale that back. And there we go. Now I've got a much lower opacity, which helps with the blending here a bit. And add a few details there, and I'll probably go round and put in some smaller scales on each of these sort of tail sections, just a bit of variation really in between the parts. I'm not going to make you watch me do this on every single scale here, but for right now, as a base coat, as a base color, I'm quite happy with that. Let's bring back our rest of our model, hit P to go to paint, and let's go to the UV and let's hit S to select and click outside the patch, and then back to ortho, and let's just go to view all. Okay, so there we have a very basic skin tone that we've painted. It should be fairly seamless. If we look around the legs here, we've got a bit of seamage going on, a little bit, and around the arms, but nothing we can't paint out. A base coat at this stage is just to really get a base color on it and give us something to start working with. So quite happy with that as a base coat. Let's add some eyes, and again, same way we did before, I'm going to do the eyes in the UV view. It's just easier to get them lined up. So let's get this, and let's get that in the center of the pupil there. So let's just move this into the center of the pupil. There we go, and let's scale it till it's about the same size as the eye. It's a slightly bigger brush. I'm just going to paint around here, and in fact I'll still have the opacity, so let's get 100% opacity. Let's just put 1 for the opacity. There we go, and let's just paint around this guy like so. Okay, now I'm going to need to do the same for the other eye, so bake that down, shift to move the image, just get that one nice and centered too. There we go, and another eye is done. Whoops, I'm going to need a slightly smaller brush size, I think, to get the outside of this one. Let's just paint the middle in, and then R to do the radius of the brush. And that way I can just come in and not overlap those two. There we go. Okay, now we're looking pretty good. And there we go, that's both eyes painted in. Let's hit B. And of course, when we go to the perspective, we're going to have the same problem that this inner part is not black, but as we've already dealt with that just easily enough for us to hit P for the paint tool and make sure we're on black paint, and then let's get the radius of this down a bit. And let's just color these inside parts in black. These are the inside of the eye pupils. B to bake down, and I hit N, which will swap my brush with one of the previous selections, but right now don't need that. Okay, so there's some basic eyes, the basic skin tone we're going to be using with some scales, and really he's looking pretty good. Quite happy with where we've gone so far. Now, so far there's no ambient occlusion actually painted on this thing, but we'll look at doing some shadowing and dirt a bit later. So when we come back, I'm going to show you how to use some different types of masks, because we've still got the edge mask turned on, even though you can't see the preview. So I'm going to get rid of the edge mask, and I'm going to start working some actual masks to try and blend our dinosaur into various different colours and put a muzzle on him and things like that. So I thank you very much for watching this part. I hope you've learned something about basic painting in Mari, and how it differs slightly from that in Photoshop. And I will see you in the next part. Cheers.